Just kidding. We got plenty to talk about.
We'll figure out the topics along the way.
Yeah.
We got the list.
Yes.
Should we start in order? So like what happened first versus what's been most recent, or just whatever's more fun to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, we can start with all the topics. I'll just
Cool.
shoot the shit a little bit while people roll in.
Oh, we're live. Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, we're live.
I just saw that. Okay.
It's been a long week.
Yeah.
Long week on Monday. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was selling covered calls, or sorry, not covered calls, cash secured puts all week long on HIMS, and I'm so glad we got that pump today because
That played out well for you.
Yeah, Nvidia is skyrocketing after hours on the chips China news. It just
Did you sell covered calls today, Tevis?
No, I mean my Nvidia got called away at like 150 a couple weeks back.
No, I'm in on HIMS.
No, I don't sell covered calls on it. HIMS is the only one that I don't sell covered calls. I showed you guys my positions or like the pivot table I had with the covered calls and the cash secured puts, and there's only one thing that's red, and it's HIMS covered calls. So I don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
something with short interest is pretty stupid.
Blast from the past. Welcome, sir. It's good to see you. Yeah. So, okay, lots of things to talk about, but yeah, HIMS. I don't know, man. I have 55 puts for September, and I have 45 puts for September, and I've just been closing. I do weekly 45 puts, and I've just been.
Oh, those 45s are chilling. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm up like I think 9. I'm gonna close them tomorrow because I have 45s for this Friday, and that's doing quite well. But
Nice.
It's just the volatility is so good, man, because the premiums are so good on HIMS, right?
Yeah.
And so I can just sell cash secured puts because at the end of the day, I would be fine to hold the shares if I had like, a $43 average cost basis, and especially for like the September ones, because my cost basis would be like $35.
Yeah.
Did you get some decent premiums today with those covered calls, Nate?
Yeah. I think it was like 42 cents a contract for the 55s, nice. And then the 63s were, I forget what they were. I think 12 cents a contract.
I was gonna write some 60s. I'm like, fuck no.
Yeah, that's fair. It's pretty. Only the 55s only did for like 10% of my position. So if I have to roll them or they get called away, I don't really care. But the other 90% were more safe.
I gotcha.
Yeah. All right, boys. What do we want to start with?
We do have a lot of news here. I'll turn on the comments. We do have a lot of news to cover because we haven't done the show in like 2 or 3 weeks. I know, Nate, you were traveling for a while. I was traveling for a while. And the rest of the weeks, we didn't really have a lot of HIMS news to talk about. But I'm looking forward to this because there's a bunch of news that's been accumulating over that time. And do you have the list, Nate? We can start with whatever.
I have like the mental list in my head of I think the one that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. So like the latest piece of news was the CPO. Like that happened 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I feel like that's the latest piece of news. Talk about that if you want.
I'm not sure if the guys are still doing the Robinhood podcast, or if they wrapped up their episode. But yeah, Chief Product Officer from Robinhood. We have the press release. I'll pull it up.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, well, I was super pumped with that CPO hire. I didn't even see that coming. I knew they mentioned in the last earnings call a new COO and I think CTO. So those were like kind of expected. We knew they could be higher than, but the CPO is like the first role. They just hired it in. So the fact they picked Hood and one of the people that led the gold membership program, crazy. Like I'm super pumped for that. I think it'll drive them to be even more product driven, which I know you love, Tevis. So
he's a product guy,
and I am a product guy, and it's really cool, man, because they're picking all of these executives from like top-notch companies that have been known to execute. So here we have the Chief Product Officer joining from Robinhood. This individual was the VP of Product at Robinhood. where she basically scaled and led Robinhood Gold.
Yep.
Now that has over 3 million subscribers, reshaped how consumers access financial tools. Like pretty crazy, especially considering Robinhood Gold's adoption rate and how quickly that scaled into the market. It's largely very successful launch. And then you have to think about the application around, okay, well, how could a company like Hims and Hers leverage this individual? And you think about, well, all of their digital subscriptions, all of the online experience of those individuals as the product offerings become more catered, and the AI layer that's going to be underpinning the telehealth experience for those folks, essentially getting access to something that's personalized for them. So, I think it's going to be a great hire. And this is only one of several hires that they've made over the past couple of months. They had the CTO from Cruise.
Yep.
I have the
Cruise
here. Yeah. So they just hired this guy from Cruise to lead their AI initiatives. And again, this was back in May, and he also held senior leadership roles at Amazon. They also hired the other gentleman from Amazon who had led their pharmacy, launch on the Amazon side. And so their entire executive team is right now just completely
killers.
Yeah. And like they're all getting, like, all the executives are joining, and they're all sort of like building their executive team. So you have the global operations COO hire here on May 5th. This is just 3 days before the CTO news, with over 2 decades of experience at Amazon, leading the acquisition of PillPack, the launch of Amazon Pharmacy, so on and so forth. And so you think about this list of individuals, and then you think about the prospects that Hims has as a company that's rearing for growth, and that's going to keep their growth rates going. They're doing international expansion, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but it's a pretty stacked cast of individuals, right? And like, it just makes you kind of excited that you have all of these industry professionals that have been there, done that, who can now translate all of those learnings to a company that does have the ability to innovate quickly and to iterate way faster than a lot of the competition.
Yeah, for me as a user, like, the reason I fell in love with Hood was because of Gold, and like the network effects of that, and how it was 3% for my Roth IRA, and I got 2% when I transferred in money, and the match, and all these sort of things. And so I'm honestly, as a possible Hims user, super pumped for like how they can incorporate that sort of dynamic within a Hims. I think it'll be huge, and so I'm pumped for her, especially, honestly.
For sure. And like you said, with all the benefits to Robinhood Gold, I feel like there's so many perks that make the Gold membership a no-brainer. So I'm curious what they're going to do with Hims and Hers that makes being in their ecosystem a no-brainer. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit more when we get into the diagnostic side of things. But very exciting.
I think that's a good segue, the diagnostics, because I feel like that would be the best way to incorporate a recurring model.
They do call it out. So I just want to read this section here. That she joins at a pivotal moment as they're expanding globally, introducing new offerings. It makes the partnering with the CTO, growing engineering team, and then they specifically touch on at-home diagnostics, saying from at-home diagnostics to deeper coaching models and new treatment areas, we're working together to unlock a more personalized standard of care that adapts to each person's needs, preferences, and goals in real time. So again, this is like the main value proposition for Hims and Hers, the main moat, if you will, of how they're going to differentiate their product offerings in the market. With like, why won't Amazon launch something like this, or why won't Novo like eat their lunch if they wanted to? Well, that personalization moat is going to be a big differentiating factor, because what it's going to do is it's going to lead to more sticky customers. It's going to lead to higher lifetime values. It's going to lead to more retention through those cohorts. And eventually, as a result of that, it's going to lead to like great spend for acquiring new users. There's going to be more word of mouth as the company continues to expand, and especially as they expand internationally. I mean, with the Zava acquisition, now in Canada, and at-home diagnostics is sort of something that's at the foundation of increasing that personalization lever, because if they can successfully launch and through the acquisition of Tribe Labs, nail down the at-home diagnostics, they collect so much more information around their user base that they can then leverage to further personalize the specific.
I feel like to match that Robinhood Gold model, at-home diagnostics is sort of going to be that loss leader, like the thing that would make me sign up and say, if you check in every 3 months, you get X amount % off of, whatever it is. And so you'll have that stickiness, you'll have that flywheel, and you'll have that recurring model, which I'm pumped for. I'm pumped. So I think she's a great hire, and it'll be cool to see how they incorporate what she's learned from Hood or done at Hood.
Yeah. So do we want to talk about at-home diagnostics at this point?
Yeah, I feel like we can go more in depth in it.
For sure. Whenever they first announced the acquisition of Tribe Labs, I was pumped. I thought it was going to be a big deal, but the more and more I think about it and how many new product unlocks this is going to be, I think it's going to be incredible. The amount of data that Hims and Hers is going to get from this, number one, the personalized experience is going to be unmatched. And Nate, quick question. What is that current diagnostics that you use? What's it called?
I don't use diagnostics.
What is that one on Twitter that I've been seeing people comparing this to?
There's a few. Let me look, but I forget. But there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, anyways, they charge what, $499 a year, so $500 a year,
something like that.
And knowing Hims and their efficiency, I wouldn't be surprised to see them offer a better, more seamless product, possibly with even a better price. And this is really going to be the key to unlocking those future products coming later this year, like testosterone. I'm not sure how the whole menopause thing works, but Nate knows plenty about testosterone. But testosterone, I think, is going to be a huge product, especially with our generation, number one. Unfortunately, I mean, even Tevis is like 2 generations older than us, I guess. But, he's getting there, man. He's on the back 9. But anyways, I mean, just me and Nate's generation, and as generations go down more and more, testosterone is a steady decline. So as we get older, as future generations get older, I think TRT or just testosterone replacement therapy is just going to be a more common, prevalent thing you see. So I think Hims is catching the wave early, and I'm very excited for it.
When did we acquire Tribe Labs? Was it like 5 or 6 months ago?
I think it was November.
So like 8 months ago. Okay.
But I can double check real quick.
I mean, that's crazy to acquire them and then to have, at-home diagnostics on the website within 8 months is a pretty quick turnaround. That's without, they had a COO, but that's without,
They mentioned in the earnings call at the beginning of the year that they wanted to have it fully integrated by the end of this year. So it kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of the timeline that they provided. But the crazy thing, I think, with Tribe Labs is that they acquired actually, it was way later. It was in February.
That's what I thought. Yeah, 5 months ago. Yeah, that's why I feel like it's really quick turnaround.
Because they within 5 months. 2 or 3 companies in quick succession. So here you have the acquisition of Tribe Labs February 19th, which is quite wild, the pace that this company is moving, right? Because they acquired Tribe in February 19th. What was in November was the 503.
Yeah, the 503A.
Yeah, the 503A facility. And then they also did the peptide acquisition of that facility. 3 new members of the executive leadership team, and all they're just continuing to innovate, right? They acquired Zava and they expanded into Canada. And when you think about the fact that all of those things happened in the past 6 months, it's just quite wild to think about the pace of this company's innovation and how quickly they're moving to acquire more market share. So, just to catch people up if they aren't caught up. So Hims acquired the at-home lab testing facility February 19th. And basically what it is, it's going to allow people to do the at-home blood draws. So basically, I think it's like a finger prick that they take like a drop of blood. And then so using a blood lancet, which eliminates the need for needles, customers will be able to learn more about their hormone levels, cardiac risks, stress markers, cholesterol, liver function, so on and so forth. And then they're going to be able to see all of their markers directly on the Hims app, the Hims experience. And then Hims can then take this information and then they can determine a personalized treatment plan that's most appropriate for their patients using the AI brain, essentially, which is the telehealth component, right, by MedMatch. And from there, then this could lead to a couple of things. This could lead to streamlined form factors. It can lead to offerings being compounded in a unique variation that addresses this individual's personalized biomarkers, can access chronic conditions. It can do a whole bunch of stuff. But basically, the gist of it is that if somebody is giving their biomarkers, then they're getting in return a product that they're not going to churn from, because why would you go to the generic, over-the-counter type of medication that has side effects where you can get something that's totally catered and custom to you, number one. Number two, from a company perspective, Hims is getting all of this very sensitive medical information about their individuals that then they can use to say, okay, what new products do we want to launch in the market? What are the overlaps of all of these conditions that we're seeing in these biomarkers? And so that's why Tribe Labs is so significant, because it adds a pretty foundational layer to that personalization moat of this company. And what we got now is we got them finally starting to advertise about Tribe Labs. So I'll throw this up on screen.
Sweet. Yeah, send the link to the site.
Yeah, and I'll throw this up on screen. So now this is on the Hims website. Coming soon. This is the comprehensive lab testing that is powered by Tribe Labs, because in the earnings, they said that they are going to be working to fully integrate the at-home testing Tribe Labs acquisition by the end of this year. And so we just got this on their website. So you can see here the full list of tests that they can draw, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, it's actually insane.
Yeah, it's quite crazy. And then you can see a little bit of the experience here straight from the app. They have improvement plans. And imagine like how crazy this is going to be, where you have a subscription already going. It's going to be so easy for you to just like subscribe, like cross-sell into other product lines, because everything is from the app and all of your information is already on the app, and it's all personalized. So this is, I think this is pretty cool. I think this is going to be really interesting. We saw recently that the percentage of the personalized subscribers surpassed the percentage of the generic subscribers. And that's just going to skyrocket even further in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, I hope
stuff like this.
I hope they treat this sort of like a Robinhood Gold, where it's a loss leader, just to get people in the door and get the data in. Because if you look at that app experience it shows below, like I can already imagine the amount of things they can cross sell, upsell, recommend you more items, give you a % discount if you pay for their Hims Gold, let's say. I just think this should be their idea of a loss leader, and so they should try and come in and beat the market with pricing at like $299 a year or something like that, just to get people in the door and get all of that data. And like you said, they can see, certain things that connect, and just the upselling and cross-selling capabilities will just be, I think, kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the ability to cross-sell, that's going to be the most important, because with these blood tests, they're going to be able to tell you what you're deficient in, what you might be at risk for, and they can create new products for that, recommend products, and like you said, maybe even give discounts if you're a member, or if you have a recurring subscription, getting a certain supplement or something each month or every other month. So the possibilities are endless. And I honestly really like this UI that they have right here, if this is what they end up using. So I'm very excited for them to launch it. I think it's pretty crazy to me how they're working on this as well as expansion into Canada and the Zava acquisition going into Europe. I mean,
Mhm.
so exciting. Oh my gosh.
I think this would probably make me a first time HIMS customer, honestly. If they actually come out with this comprehensive testing, I'd probably use it.
Yeah, I mean, like
Pricing's good.
it's a lot of irons in the fire, right? At the same time, and
Yep.
the crazy thing is that they sort of fit in this perfect intersection between providing personalized care from an actual like dosage, form factor, what you intake, and then on the other side they have your physician, your doctors, your medical professionals that you can just hop on a call with straight from the app, and then they have this seamless experience. And so it just seems as though it's so synergistic, especially when you consider all the other verticals that they're going to be launching into and how that's going to play a part with them. Because if all of a sudden now you are in one of their verticals, well, what happens? Let's just say you're using Hims for hair loss, right? You're on their app, you're using it, it's a subscription, whatever. All of a sudden, now you get this at home testing kit, you find some biomarkers, you find some other things that you might be prone to, or you find some other things that they might recommend you based on your biomarkers. Well, you're already on the app, you're already in the ecosystem, you already have a medical professional there. And let's say they don't find anything. Well, they already have your biomarkers. So in a year from now, when they launch something else, they can say, well, actually, we know that you're a prime candidate for this, and this didn't exist last year as a
Yep.
product offering for us. We're just launching it now. You're going to be the first to know. You're going to be the first to have something custom tailor made for you. And so, like, that's so encouraging, because it's just going to lead to not only retention, but it's going to lead to so much more like word of mouth adoption between people being like really satisfied with their experience, I feel.
Yeah. It's gonna make their whole ecosystem about 10 times stickier, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, because it literally gives them a blueprint on what products to roll out next based on their existing audience right now.
Mhm.
And so to Nate's point, like, yeah, at-home testing could absolutely be a loss leader. They can send these things out for free just to get the data back, because they're going to make so much more on the back end of it with the products that they're going to release as a result of the insights gained from the at-home testing.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, once they actually do roll this out, how average order volume looks, and stuff like that. How the stickiness becomes, because I think that'll be cool to watch.
Yeah.
But did you guys know that the Zava CEO is now Hims international, like head of international expansion?
Yeah.
I just saw that
Really?
randomly in like one of those articles.
Yeah. They announced that after the acquisition, and like it makes sense. Like obviously, there's the package in it for him, because otherwise, how are you going to incentivize him? He just got a massive payout for the acquisition of Zava, so he probably has some retention mechanism built into his package around you have to stay for a certain amount of time or a certain amount of years, or you maybe unlock more stock if you reach certain milestones. Like that's pretty standard as a result of an acquisition, to just keep the incentive structure in place for the existing folks. And I mean, he knows the European market. Zava has been operating in the European market. And so I think that it's just synergistic from that point of view. Like there's continuity of service. There's no disruption.
Yeah. And on international expansion, do you guys want to talk about them getting into Canada and the implications of that?
Yeah, sure. Let me just get some water. We can do that.
Cool.
Coming to Canada, man. I know Tevis will be happy. I don't know if you watched Tevis interview with Hood CEO with Vlad.
I watched a little bit of it.
Dude, like later on in the video, Vlad talks. He asks thought about international expansion, and Vlad talks like about coming to Canada. And the look on Tevis's face, dude, I've never seen such a smile come from Tevis.
He's pumped.
Bro was drooling over Vlad, man. He was like, "Please come to Canada."
I did no, actually, I explicitly told him not to come to Canada because Canada is overregulated and it's not worth the actual money that a company would get there. So, and I feel the same way in banking and finance, like investing, as I do in healthcare, like it's probably massively a headache for Hims to expand to Canada because they can expand to like half of the US for a tenth of the headache and probably 10x like the potential ROI. So
Do you feel that way
Yeah.
for him as well? Do you think the overregulation could be a problem?
dude, absolutely.
expansion?
I think Health Canada is going to be up their ass with regards to like making sure that they're looking out for all of the Hims users and how are they going to compound and all of these like it's just Canada, the Canadian market is very oligopolized, meaning
Yep.
that there's a few players and they command a large share of the market. And what you have in an oligopolized market is you have new entrants really struggle because it's not a perfect competition. In a perfect competition, for example, in economics, like you have many players sharing the market, and as a result of like what one person does changes the dynamics of the market. But when you only have two players or three players, like for example, like gas stations are oligopolies, banks oligopolies. In Canada, you have health companies and media companies. They're all oligopolies. And what you have in those markets is that because those players split the market, they basically decide the rules. And anybody who's not in that club, who's just starting for the first time, they're going to be actively pushed out of the market because if you owned 25% of the market, would you want a new company setting up shop down the
Right.
street? Of course
Right.
not, right? Like they're encroaching on your territory. And so the government is very favorable towards these structures in Canada, and that's it's not a secret or anything like that. It's not an opinion, it's just a fact. Look at the industries.
And so,
So-
are you neutral this expansion or possible expansion 2026, or are you still bullish?
I mean, look, man, I think that I'm happy that that people in Canada, because Canada feels like a village sometimes, because we always get things like 10 years later.
Yeah.
and like we don't have Robinhood up here. We don't have a lot of things that you guys have. And so I'm happy from that perspective that it's they've expanded into Canada. And I'm sure they're going to be successful, obviously. But I would imagine that they had a lot of runway still in the US market without needing to expand into Canada so early. But I would have said the same thing for Europe, honestly. So, like, Europe is overregulated as well. And Hims, if you're looking at this company, they have 2.5 million subscribers, and the US population is what, 350 million. It's like, dude, you could spend the next decade and still not have optimal penetration in the US markets. Like, you don't need to look elsewhere for growth. Now, if it's not cannibalizing their existing initiatives in the US and they're just hiring remote like offices, essentially satellite offices, and they're having this CEO of Zava do the European side. I don't know who they're going to have for the Canadian side. Like, sure. But to some degree, I think the bearish take around this is that it diverts their mind share in terms of what their goal is outside of that US market penetration. Whereas like SoFi, for example, right? SoFi is like in the US and they have a Hong Kong presence, and that's pretty much it, right? Like they don't actively try to go elsewhere.
Yeah, that's why I didn't. I'm okay with international expansion and trying to grow that way, but I still would agree that I don't fully understand why we're not just diving headfirst into the American market and taking the whole thing and then expanding when you have that more of a moat and more of like a name.
Yeah.
I do think, like you said, they are kind of being a little distracted. Although with Canada, it makes a lot more sense knowing, and I think Roy pointed this out, and I didn't even realize that Novo doesn't have their patent for semaglutide in early January, and so that'll be huge for Hims in Canada, which is a great call out. I didn't even realize it was they didn't pay their damn patent for like $300 or something, whatever it was, which is hilarious.
Maybe I can throw that up.
Which is terribly managed.
Yeah, like I think if I had to steelman the Canada expansion, like that's where my brain would go. Like there is some specific reason as to why they would be expanding it to Canada, as opposed to like anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, and it seems like I think they called it out in their press release that specifically says semaglutide like 8 different times. So it seems like that'll probably be their target. Is they're expanding, but mainly for semaglutide to compound it because Novo no longer has, the wall there to defend themselves because they are idiots and didn't buy their patent.
Is there a
Which
lot
is
of
just
fat people
hilarious.
Is there a lot of fat people in Canada, Tevis?
Yeah, man, it's a very North American like
It's just as
culture.
bad as America, right?
Yeah, pretty much just bad. Yeah.
Worse.
So here's the post from Roy. So Hims is launching in Canada in 2026. Why 2026? Because the patent in Canada for semaglutide lapses in January since Novo didn't pay a few $100s to maintain the patent in Canada.
So
As
funny.
such, Hims will launch generic semaglutide on or after January 4th in Canada. And yeah, that's quite crazy. Honestly, whoever had
Dude,
that
it's laughable.
like it's insane that you have this massive company like Novo and like they're still doing these like super basic screw
a
up.
$250 billion company and you can't buy $200 patent. Like you can't have one patent lawyer go like just sign some document or whatever it would be. Like I didn't even know that it was a thing. It was a good call by Roy. It's just hilarious.
Yeah, it's and like honestly, I think it's great for the Hims team as well because what it shows is that they're on top of it when Novo clearly isn't. And either Novo does not care about the Canadian market or they're choosing to forego it, or it's negligence where they're like, oh, we forgot to renew or whatever the case may be. But Hims leadership team is on top of it, identifying that and it's just going after the Canadian market. So I think it's pretty it's pretty encouraging to see. But again, I think the Canada as a market, unless you have a specific reason, I think it doesn't really make sense because of the regulation. Let me share the press release. Eli, what do you think?
I agree. I think it's extremely bullish. It says I'm bullish for expansion into Canada as long as it doesn't distract us from growth in the US. But I like MR's comment right here. It's as low hanging fruit as low hanging fruit gets. So it's he obviously thinks generic sim is going to be extremely successful in Canada. So at the end of the day, I trust Hims management. So I don't think they'd be doing this if it wasn't the right move. So
Yep,
that's it.
Well, let me ask you guys this then. Do you think this was just a play for the generic semaglutide and that this is going to be obviously the first thing that they offer in Canada, but will it be the only thing that they offer in Canada for the foreseeable future? Or do you think they're just going to try to implement their entire suite there?
I think it'll just be that to start. So there'll probably be 2 or 3 quarters of just selling that, seeing what people like, seeing what they can upsell, and then from there kind of slowly expand. Because I kind of like you said with Canada regulation, I feel like if they try and just dump their whole stack into Canada, they'll have a lot of problems. Whereas if they just start bit by bit, product by product, it's probably easier to expand that way without regulation.
Yeah, and this answers your question. In Canada, branded semaglutide with no surrounding clinical support currently costs more than 200 Canadian dollars per month, which is like the price of a Happy Meal in the US. The price of generic semaglutide is expected to be available at a significant discount to the branded versions, with prices expected to lower over time. Yeah, it's going to be crazy, man, because if they can, like, again, when you have these types of markets that are cornered by 3 or 4 players, what that happens is you get prices that are jacked up for the end consumer. And so, like, I guarantee you I pay more on my phone bill than you guys pay. I guarantee you I pay more on my internet than you guys pay. I guarantee you I pay more on, bank fees than you guys pay because we have fewer competitors in the market. Yep. And so now that you have somebody like Hims coming in and they're like, oh, well, actually, we can do that same service twice better and at a quarter of the costs. Like, I feel like there's going to be a real desire for that in Canada, especially because that's so like outside of the realm of possibility as a result of the structure being what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty irresponsible of them to go in and try and do all their products, especially because it seems like the semaglutide seems like the best opportunity that's the most untapped, and now that patent's gone. And so I think they'll start there and then slowly expand. I feel like that makes the most sense. but I trust management regardless. So
Yeah, like eventually they will
yeah,
expand their entire offerings, but it's just like a matter of when it's going to be cost efficient for them to do that.
right. Yeah, and the GLP-1s have, the highest gross margins for them, and we see the highest revenue growth, and so that's what they're going to be trying to throw up is that revenue growth and margin growth.
Do you guys think that we're going to get more news around international expansion this year? Because we got Europe through Zava, we got Canada, and we got them a month apart. Like, do you think we're going to get something else, or are they going to take a breath for now?
I think they'll just talk more about the expansion, like maybe go more in depth of like what exactly they're doing within those expansions. So like within France and Germany and Ireland, what they're going to do. But I don't think they're going to expand any further. I think that'd be pretty crazy.
Well, we don't yet know how much they paid for Zava, right?
Yeah, I think we saw there's I think
Or
rumors are
Rumor
3x,
Yeah.
3x 100 million revenue, so like 300 million.
So maybe some more clarity on that would be good.
I can throw that up. I have it ready.
Yeah, I think someone said there's. I don't know who it was. Whatever rumor.
Yeah, so it was Marcus. Said basically yesterday had another interesting meeting with the VP of Medical Affairs at Wellster, Germany's largest telemedicine provider. He told me that the acquisition of Zava was paid for with just 3 times the revenue. He said just under 300 million euros. That would be awesome, of course. Then H&H, Hims and Hers, would still have just under $1 billion in dry powder. The meeting was actually about real estate deal, but it was very informative to learn the firsthand about the developments in telemedicine and diagnostics. He is also an enthusiastic Hims shareholder.
And just so people know, 300 million euros is 350 million American dollars. No one cares about Canadian, but American dollars, 350 million.
So this is this went a little bit viral in the Hims community, as you can see with the views here. Yeah. And I mean that would definitely be very bullish if in fact that is the amount. We would potentially see that amount reflective in this quarter when they report earnings, or
I think we definitely will.
Or is it next quarter?
No, it'll be this quarter because it's going to be in the 8K, right? Because it happened in Q2, happening
right. So depending on when it happens. So okay, yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna eventually figure it out over the next like 30 days anyway. So
yeah, which I'm pumped for that. That'll be cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for earnings, which was announced to be on August 4th, right?
Yep, August 4th. 3 weeks.
Yeah. So
today.
I don't know. Basically, we gotta figure, like, depending on when it was announced or when the deal closed, is the following quarter we're gonna see it reflective in the financials.
Oh, is it the following quarter, not the current quarter was sold in or the deal happened in?
No, it's going to be the following.
So it'll be Q3 then. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah,
you're right.
So what's the likelihood of this trade war with Canada hurting Hims?
Nothing.
Yeah, I don't
like nothing.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys a question. So we talked about Hims' approach with Canada. Y'all think they're going to be focused on the whole semaglutide or exclusively semaglutide. So how do you guys think their approach with Canada is going to be different than with Europe? Like their strategies.
I think with Europe, Zava already has the products and the backbone and the customers that want those products, whereas Canada's brand new.
Yeah.
And so they're probably just going to put their face and UI and UX over Zava's products and already, models and everything they have. And Canada will just be more of like a exploratory, start with semaglutide, see where we go from there sort of thing. I think, if I were to guess. Just because Zava already has that customer base in Europe, right?
So I don't know if you guys caught this, but this is kind of interesting. I'm just looking at the press release here to answer Elijah's question. So in their press release where they announced the Canada expansion, at the very, very end, they said here, with Zava now a part of Hims and Hers, the company is scaling across markets where its comprehensive offerings can meet consumer needs. The plans for Canada entry reflect continued progress on a clear growth roadmap. This is the interesting part. Leveraging both organic growth and strategic investments to expand category leadership and global reach. So that to me could be a reference to Zava, which is what they did in Europe, or it could point to, some further strategic investment or acquisition that they could make in Canada.
What if they buy a 503A facility in Canada or something like that?
So that's what I'm thinking, right? They can absolutely do that.
Yeah. That would make more sense. And really, that would be cool, actually. I didn't catch that part. That's nice.
Yeah, despite North America being the largest GLP-1 market, many still lack crucial access. Making affordable holistic obesity treatment accessible has the potential to help strengthen the local healthcare system and unlock the potential for millions to live healthier, more fulfilling lives. Yeah, I think the production piece and further the personalization piece is going to also be interesting for Canada as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see another like 503A facility or something to that effect for the Canadian market be announced this year. That would be a natural progression for me.
The thing that's crazy is if it is true that they acquired Zava, which is probably it's still going to be under 500 million. Let's say it's 450 million. They still have 800 million in cash for acquisitions. Yeah. Like they still could do so much, and those 503A facilities are cheap, right? I mean, comparatively to Zava.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more infrastructure they can build out, which I'm pumped for that.
Well, I mean, look, to Elijah's question, right? Because he asked about the trade war, and I think Sagi nailed it here. He said, "I'm not sure it would be nothing." This statement, because they need to basically transport into Canada, so it would kind of make sense for them to produce in Canada, logistically, geopolitically, and from probably a margins perspective as well. Yep. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that being the natural progression at all.
Yeah, especially if they find a real appetite for the market there. Like maybe they realize, wow, it's like growth just like America does. We got to really expand here. Mm-hmm. It's going to be new for them. I'm sure they have some data points, but they don't really have exactly what they're looking for. And so once they actually do expand in early 26, they'll probably see whether or not they want to really dive in or not.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to touch on the short interest?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't know what's on Nate's list, but we can touch on the short interest, and then I'm also, I think Sagi also asked. So, okay, let's touch on the short interest. Let me throw up the post, and we can talk about it. So Hims, go ahead, Nate.
No, I was going to say unbelievable. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Hims announced their short interest this week, and I report on the short interest whenever I'm not in a meeting at work, basically. So here, Hims short interest reached a new all-time high. So the latest report is from June 30th. Of course, it's July 14th. We're going to have another report coming out probably next week or so until the mid-July. But we have about 68 million shares sold short, which is a 10% increase from the last reporting, 35.1% short interest per Fintel. So here I have a graph that I made overlaid with short interest and stock price over time. So you can see the relationship between the two. And the red is the stock price and the green is the short interest. And you can see that the green has been just rising regardless. I've pinned down the stock price on the same dates of the short interest, and I'm not really talking about what happens in between, because Hims actually went much higher into the 70s and then fell back down, so on and so forth. But we saw shorts covering in February, basically when Hims went into the $70 range, and then when Hims fell back down after the semaglutide coming off of shortage. We saw shorts piling back on, and especially now that the Novo partnership is deteriorated, I wouldn't be surprised to see this number in green continue to rise. But with a company that has over 30% short interest, you're bound to get some type of short squeeze at some point or another. It's just a matter of time. And I think that last thing I'll say is this is really a conversation around, do we think Novo lawsuit is going to materialize, or is it a nothing burger and we should actually be adding, because of the short interest going up, hoping for some type of squeeze? Because that's really the only reason why it's going up.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the middle. I don't think it's a nothing burger, but I was adding recently.
Yeah.
Because I do still think the company's undervalued. But I think to be in short-term duration calls would be scary right now because they could come out with loss at any point. But I think if you're a long-term holder right now, shares are cheap in my opinion, and so I'm not too worried about it. I do think the risk of the lawsuit has gone down the farther away from that breakup of the partnership we get. I was pretty confident, honestly. Like I was pretty certain they were going to come out with the lawsuit within the week or two of the breakup happening. Now it's been over. I think over. Is it 3 weeks now, or has it been just 2 weeks?
I think it's been close to 3.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if
3 weeks.
the current short interest number is actually reflective of the Novo partnership.
I think it is.
Yeah. So if
I think it was late June was when it ended, and so if this is June 30th, I'm pretty sure it wasn't. It wasn't this month that happened. I know it was late June.
Yeah. And so again, the short interest is basically reflecting the market's fear that now there is an increased risk of Novo suing Hims, or at least that partnership that was on the table is no longer going to materialize. And I think everybody's sort of just waiting for the other shoe to drop in the form of a lawsuit announcement. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Novo is actually not quite in a position for that to happen.
Yep.
I think
Did you guys end up listening to that Hims House podcast with the patent lawyer on it? It was actually extremely insightful. Basically, a synopsis of what I was saying, it's going to be pretty rare or pretty impossible for Novo to sue on a patent lawsuit because their patent isn't that strong and they don't want to risk losing that patent. And so if it would, the way it would be is like malpractice or something like that. And so they don't really have much of a basis for that or a case for that. And so it's pretty interesting to listen. You guys should definitely take a listen, and anyone in the audience. Like I learned a lot in terms of like what can and can't be sued and like how it actually play out long term. Basically, like it's definitely not a case or shut case closed, like easy case to happen. It would be long and drawn out, and Novo doesn't want to lose a case like that, and it probably would end up just being settled anyway.
Yeah, dude, because think about it. Like Novo makes Hims' entire market cap in 1 year, basically in revenue, on the back of this patent. And so imagine the risk reward ratio that they would have if they do a lawsuit and it doesn't go their way and they lose that patent. It's absolutely not worth it for them, because even if they win the lawsuit, then like, what are they going to win? That Hims, has to basically stop with, like, it's not going to be worth it from an ROI perspective for them to do it. And that's why I don't think that they're going to pursue it, but they are going to throw their weight around and jostle and basically say, try to bully them out of the market. They've been doing that with other smaller compounders in the space. And so I think it's just noise at this point. And obviously my position sizing reflects that because I've been adding quite heavily, but 35% short interest is no joke. Like 35% short interest means the implied move can take this thing like to the $200 range. I don't think it's going to go there, but it's possible.
Yeah, I think the whole Novo and Hims partnership was actually Novo trying to strong arm Hims and kind of bully Hims out of that market. Now that we know what we know.
I mean, Andrew flat out said that.
Did you guys see the new news today that Andrew just posted, or the article he was in for the Washington Post?
I haven't seen any news. I'll throw up Andrew's.
I can also send you the link to Hims House. They posted it, like a bunch of highlights of the post. But basically, Andrew Didham was saying like there was no real pushback when Hims said they were going to compound. It was just like one nice dinner and a handshake agreement of a deal. Like he was not expecting this at all. And also the big thing was that they said Novo and Hims planned to build something together, like to white label a product and release a product together. And so this whole partnership ending was like a total backstab that Andrew was not expecting, which I thought was really interesting. They were going to collaborate on a new product, apparently. And then Novo just said, you know what, screw this. And I think I really do think it's because of the new CEO and the board coming in. Which is why that happened.
Interesting.
But I'll send the link in the private chat at the start of the thread that Himself posted.
Yeah, I'm looking at the article. It
article.
says Doom said he wouldn't rule out working with Novo Nordisk in the future.
Yeah, which I also
All right,
find weird.
Let me throw this article up. This is my first reaction to this article. So let's see. I don't know, Elijah, if you've read this article, if you're a Washington Post reader.
Of course, dude. All the time.
Yeah, good luck. Do you pay for this, Tevis? Because you're not gonna be able to read it if you aren't.
No, I just signed up for the one free article. And I'm gonna share it with my 110 best friends that are watching. Okay. The unlikely pact and breakup of a drug maker and telehealth star. Ugh, this is why I don't read this shit. Okay, so when Andrew received an email, blah blah blah, top executive from Novo. Novo joined forces with Hims in April to expand sales of Wegovy. Yep. Man, the language is like so flowery. Like this guy was writing a novel or something. Like, so they were selling an imitation version of Wegovy, and Novo basically said this is illegal and unsafe. We saw Novo's note. I mean, I think we covered it in a previous episode. Yep. Both sides appeared to set aside their differences when they announced their deal for the discontinued Wegovy on 29th. Okay, so basically the collaboration blew up. I don't care. We know this. Now what's happening? So
scroll down until you find on April 11th.
What's that?
Scroll down until you find on April 11th. That's part of the juicy.
On April 11th, Dudum and his top lieutenants arrived at Novo Nordisk U.S. headquarters in Plainsboro, New Jersey. They met for a couple hours with Moore and his leadership team and directly raised the biggest point of friction. According to Hims' CEO, they plan to continue offering personalized doses of compounded semaglutide under a regulation that allows them for modifying a prescription drug if clinicians determine it makes a significant difference for individual patient. And so we know this. Like Andrew has been pretty clear on his X around this workaround, essentially this gray area. They've mentioned this on the earnings calls in the past, and he said there was no pushback from the Novo team. There was dissatisfaction among their team that Hims wasn't dropping the compound semaglutide altogether. But we made it very clear that there was really no hearty debate on this issue. They declined to comment, blah, blah, blah. We don't discuss. But they also went on CNBC, I think it was, and they were basically shit talking.
That's why I feel it's this new CEO that came in, because the new CEO, I think, came in after the partnership was announced. And so I feel like that really changed the dynamic, where the new CEO probably wanted to make a name for himself. The board was probably on his ass. And so he's like, all right, screw this. We're not partnering. And that's why I feel like, it was really interesting. And then I think the next piece is whenever you get to a change in the weather is the subject of the next heading.
Okay, so who is product? So Moore is on Novo's leadership team. What's his role? Hold on, let me go back here.
Pretty sure that's I don't want to actually say it.
Top U.S. executive. Okay, so they don't say what his role is.
President. He's the president
of Novo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So
of the United States, he's the president.
So the two companies were discussing a new product in which Novo would make vials of Wegovy and Hims would sell it under its brand. This is cool. So this is an expansion of the partnership, it sounds like. Within days, Dudum getting his blah, blah, blah. His team was suddenly under pressure to prioritize Wegovy over compounded semaglutide. So this is what I mean by Novo basically bullying their way. Now that they have this partnership, they're like, yeah, you're going to, we're going to shove Wegovy down your throat for you to, sell it to your patients. The message he recalled was, quote, you need to stop allowing any type of personalization. And this doesn't really tell us that much that we don't already know.
He said on June 23rd, without notifying Hims or hers, announced the public. So they basically ended
without
partnership.
notifying Hims or Hers.
Yeah, so they notified, just
Oh.
backstabbed him, basically.
That's
That's some
And
tea
then
right there.
cuts Hims' market cap by 35% in a day.
yeah. Yeah. Is there any more, or
This is pretty much it. I think the new things we learned was they didn't notify him, so they backstabbed him, and also that the fact they were gonna expand the partnership and do a product together, and then out of nowhere decided, you know what, screw this.
this is interesting.
I also found that weird too. He said he wouldn't rule it out. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that.
I mean,
He's just playing nice, you know.
Maybe, but like I think all roads lead to a partnership between them, right? Because like they're going to be the only, like Hims is going to be a real player in that space, and we know that as they're now internationally expanding, and I mean, I think that Novo partnership, a big reason why the stock took such a hit is because the market is really seeing a very low, probably incredibly low likelihood of a future partnership. And as a result, they're also seeing an incredibly low likelihood of a Eli Lilly partnership, right? But if both of those things do happen at some point or another, like it's going to be solidified because it's going to be at a further point of leverage where Hims is not going to, be strong arm because they've already been down this road before, right? And they know how it ends. And I think with other smaller compounders, Novo might have had their way to say, okay, we are going to sell the Wegovy because we need this partnership more than we need the revenue from, just doing it ourselves, essentially. But I think Hims, with their growth trajectory and with all the stuff that we've talked about, is at a point where they don't really need that. They have more leverage than Novo probably thought they did. And so if they ever do partner again in the future, it's going to be on those new terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to see another Hims and Novo partner. It's possible, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I think Eli Lilly partnership definitely won't happen because they're really against the personalization. Novo could, but I still just don't see it happen for maybe.
That's fine. I think that's completely fine.
Yeah, 100%. Maybe in like 2 or 3 years when Hims and Hers and Novo have like maybe qualms are aside and Hims just make a name for herself and proven that it works and something like that. But I think in the near term, yeah, it's not going to happen, and I don't care. I'm fine.
What the hell are you smirking at, Tevis?
The comments, man. I'm reading these comments, and
you're not white, you're bright.
Yeah, thank you to 100 people for being here at 11:30 at night.
Yeah, thanks
for we had to go super late tonight because Tevis has so much stuff going on, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. I have a life. Thank you, Elijah. And you had work, so what else, Nate, is on our docket for us to chat about?
That was pretty much everything. I think we covered everything in the past 2 weeks. I think the big news today was the stock was up nearly 10%. So that was cool to see. I have no idea why. Maybe it's because of that Hims or that article coming out this morning from Andrew. Maybe, I don't really know. Or it could just be short-term pump.
Yeah.
Do you I think that gap has to be filled. I mean, talking from a technical perspective, like here, I'll throw it up on the screen.
You're a TA guy now, huh?
I mean,
when did you become a TA guy? He's talking about the gap being filled.
Ever since I started writing puts, I'm a TA guy here. Like, if you look at this pattern, I don't know, man, it could fall even more. But I think if you just look at this pattern, like this gap right here, it's going to get filled at some point or another, and I think it's accumulating. So
I'm sorry, it's just TA to me is so funny. Just flicking your mouse. It's gonna be filled, guys. We're going up. It's gonna go to here.
It's got to form that heavier base. I mean, look, I'm sure we have TA people in the chat that will support me on this one. So we've tried to break through. This is the third time we've tried to break through and got rejected on the $52 range. I guarantee you the next time we do it, we're going to bounce straight to 55. I'm calling it right now.
Probably, yeah. We haven't been rejected yet. Did we just close at 52?
Probably, yeah. Let's draw a damn line.
Yeah, draw some lines and stuff.
I'm not a real TA person. Oh, man.
Oh, my God, dude. Technical Tevis, man.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Yeah, but that's pretty much everything in the docket. I got nothing else. I think we covered all the big topics at least. Do you guys have any things you guys want to talk about? Or
No, I mean, I haven't really changed my position. I'm not writing covered
Uh,
calls. I'm too scared. Me and Tevis are being smart about it. Nate's being a little greedy.
Should I let the audience know what I did that I was too scared to post on my X?
Yeah, you got to tell the people, the 100 loyal people that came here at 11:30 at night for hymns. You're a degen that sold.
Okay, hold on. I gotta scroll up in our DM chat. So for people who stayed here for the full hour and it's 11:30, this is what I did. I sold $55 puts for end of September, and currently we're at $52.
And by the way, this is when the stock was like $49, not 52. So this guy thought the stock was going to up 20% and like
$48.
Yeah.
So, I got 25% premium on this. So, and granted, my premiums were like, 11.75. You see there. So like the cost basis would have still been in the high 30s for this one, or I guess low 40s. And I'm up, I think, like close to 30% after this this move up. And I don't think I'm gonna get hit on this. I mean, I might get hit, but if I do, then I'll own stock in the low 40s. And the thing you have to keep in mind is that the company did announce their earnings for the beginning of August.
Well, you're not going to get hit, dude, because the gap has to be filled, right? So like, you're not getting hit. The
That's
gap's going to be
exactly
filled.
what I'm saying. The gap has to be filled.
What you really should do is you should just sell $65 puts for September because the gap's been getting filled after earnings.
Don't tempt me, because I I will. I will. Don't
50% premiums.
50%. No, it's not.
Probably.
If it was 50%, no, it's not gonna be high. Well,
It's like, wait, he's like, is it? Maybe. Let me check.
Yeah, next time is gonna buy the hymns
Like,
2x.
like, no, it can't be. It can't be.
No,
50%,
man,
but
I
maybe
can't.
it is.
I can't do it. I can't. $55 puts is fucking wild. It's degenerate.
I almost bought him's 2x leverage ETF when it dropped 35%, but I was like,
Hey,
it
man.
could drop more, and I wish I did because now
I
it's
remember-
like 60%.
I remember when hymns dropped and Elijah was like, I bought one put. And I'm like, bro, I'm buying puts that are like $8 in the money.
Damn, shitting on him. I actually want to sell. I might sell some other positions and start buying more to him.
This guy, dude.
Just shitting
That
on
is
him.
good.
Scared
not a
money don't make money, baby.
Not a-
He sold one put.
Yeah.
That's how he treats his friends. He makes fun of his poor friends.
Oh my God, stop. Okay. Shall we wrap there?
Yeah, let's wrap it. That you're
Yeah, you
making
piece
fun
of
of poor
shit.
friends.
Let's wrap it.
The gap being filled.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for watching. This is Hymns Weekly, which we do about once every 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Every 3 weeks.
it's kind of
Yeah.
weekly.
We are talking about potentially doing the Hymns earnings call. So if there is interest in that, then let me know. And then I'll skip work that day, and then we can cover the earnings call live. And you can see in real time my face as the stock either shoots up and my 55s are safe, or the stock goes to 30 and I'm like pale.
As the gap gets filled.
Yes, exactly. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and
Thanks,
we'll
everyone.
see you in the next one. See ya.
Peace.
Peace.